the Fabric Graphics Association, a division of IFAI. I am Valerie Kushna of Fabric Images and current chair of the Fabric Graphics Association Advisory Board. I will be moderating the webinar today. This presentation will provide detailed and tangible ways to specify, produce, and finish outdoor graphics for strength and longevity. Our presenters today are Chuck McGetrick of Marabou America and Roger Lepley of Consort Display. We will be placing attendees on mute throughout the webinar to minimize background noise. If you have any questions, please type them in the questions function of the GoToWebinar toolbox, and I will moderate questions at the end of the webinar. Before we hear from our featured speakers, I am going to spend a few minutes reviewing examples of where fabric graphics are commonly found in our communities. Okay, building wraps. Building wraps are usually massively sized, which creates an instant statement with bold and daring graphics. Buildings provide a colossal advertising canvas, and graphics can certainly be used to liven up a building facade, as shown in this example. Often applied to cover up construction scaffolding and installed with the use of cranes and helicopters, building wraps can be a solid material or a mesh to allow building occupants to see outside. Always utilizing PVC material as the media, they are used, or almost always, I should say, almost always using PVC vinyl as the material. They are used to promote special events as well. Graphics on canopies are utilized by those looking to maximize impact in the overhead space. These pieces can be an entrance to a building or a shade structure. This is one of the newer locations for outdoor graphics, and in my opinion, a real market with real growth potential. Manufacturers must utilize a printing process, though, with UV durability to help maintain the longevity, especially in warmer climates where you have a lot more sun. Temporary outdoor structures can assemble quite quickly to create a gathering space. They could be a pop-up lounge, a special event space, pop-up retail space, and more. Really the sky's the limit for this type of application. They attract attention by being in unexpected locations. Imagine a piece like this suddenly showing up on a courtyard or campus that you pass by every day. Vivid graphics can be changed out much more frequently than traditional building materials. Depending on the desired longevity, an array of materials and printing processes can be used for this type of piece. We also have signage. Printed signage allows patrons to easily identify an establishment. Graphics can range from street banners up to massive logos atop a building, such as this one. There's no way you can miss this from quite a distance. They can add interest to a building, and the use of fabric allows for an array of colors and effects that might not be available with other materials. There we go. And then the usage will vary from a few weeks for a special event to an expected life of many years. And knowing this expectation is going to help determine the correct materials, print processes, and finishing. Additional specialized applications of fabric graphics are appearing as materials and printing processes expand. And especially as we go through this, I would encourage you to look for areas where branded and non-branded graphics can be used. So again, if you have any questions during the presenters, please type them in the questions function of the GoToWebinar toolbox as they come up, and they will be answered following the presentation. Our next presenter is Chuck McGetrick, North American Sales Manager of Marabou America Inks and Coatings. Chuck has been in the industry for over 8 years and is proficient in digital printing. He will be talking about overlaminates and finishing techniques for successful print in outdoor applications. Take it away, Chuck.
Thanks, Valerie. Thank you all for attending this webinar. My name is Chuck McGetrick. I'm Sales Manager here at Marabou North America. We manufacture inks and coatings for all types of different applications. And today we're going to talk about using liquid coating as an option to increase longevity for the outdoor graphics. So what I've done is I'm going to keep this presentation fairly basic. as Valerie mentioned, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have at the end of this presentation. So what we're going to discuss today are Marabou's liquid coatings, and we're going to discuss three different products that we sell. The first product being the ClearShield water-based coating. This is our most popular product. It's designed for everything from outdoor graphics to fine art to wall covering. We have people using it in very unique applications. Next product that we'll touch on briefly is our ClearJet product. This is a solvent-based liquid coating. This was a product that was far more popular years ago when inks were very water sensitive and media technologies weren't quite as advanced as they are today. We don't sell a ton of this anymore, but for small applications, we have products that are packaged in aerosol cans, which gives customer the opportunity to try a product for small jobs before using it on a larger job. And the last product that we'll talk about is our MaraShield UV curable coating, and this is becoming more and more popular as more people print to rigid substrates using flatbed UV printers. So the ClearShield product, we're going to talk about four different formulations that we have. These are our four most popular products. We're going to discuss how do we determine compatibility. So it's very important to understand what your customer is printing, what they're printing to, what they're printing with. Inks are not created equal. UV ink is very different from solvent ink, which is very different from water-based ink. And naturally, a vinyl banner material is very different from a wall covering, which is very different from canvas. So it's important to understand exactly what the customer is doing and how they're producing their products. So we'll talk about that. We're going to also talk about three different application methods. We've got two ways to apply it by hand and one way to apply it by automated machinery. So the ClearShield formulations that we'll touch on today are the ClearShield Classic, which is our bread and butter. This product's been out in the market for more than 15 years and is designed to be used over your typical sign applications. So vinyl banners, we have people using it for vehicle wraps. We've also got people using it for fleet graphics. Any application, for the most part, where you would use a film lamination, this product can be used. Another product that we sell quite a bit of is our ClearShield Canvas Guard. And this is, as it says, is designed for canvas applications. So those that are in the fine art world, this product provides not only UV stability and UV protection, but it also gives canvas some elasticity. And what I mean by that is a lot of customers in this market space stretch canvas around stretcher bars, gallery wrap it. And typically when that canvas is stretched and creased, it tends to leave a white crack in the inkjet receptive layer. And the coating provides some elasticity so you don't see that. Our fastest growing product right now is our ClearShield Wall Armor. And this product is generally designed to go over digitally printable wall coverings. That's become a very large market. It's a very fast growing market. And we provide a product that will not only protect the wall covering from scuffs and scratches, but in the case where it is going in a commercial space, such as a hotel or healthcare facility, it is the only product that is Type 2 certified, meaning that it passes all of the ASTM standards that a lot of the commercial spaces require. And the last product that is popular for specific applications is our Clear Shield Anti-Graffiti. And this product is really designed for applications where you expect that the sign is going to be defaced. This is a product that can be cleaned, can spray paint. If somebody uses Sharpie marker, this product will allow you to clean your sign so that you don't have to reprint it. So probably the most important aspect of determining when liquid coating can be used and what liquid coating can be used is all about the products that the customer is using and the machine that's being used to print those products. So what we want to be able to do is understand what type of ink is being used. Oftentimes, UV ink has become more and more popular, as has latex ink, and those two products are very different than solvent. So we have specific products that work on specific ink types and specific medias. So the first question that we want to ask is, what type of ink is being used in this project? We also want to know what the substrate is. Whether it's a rigid good like Dibond or Sintra, or a fabric material or a vinyl, those again determine what type of coating we want to use on that material. The other question we want to know is, how is the customer going to apply this product? Is it going to be applied with an automated piece of equipment? Is it going to be applied by hand? All of these questions will point us in the right direction for the appropriate Clear Shield formulation. So the different application methods, most popular is what we call brush and roll. Really, a lot of people who are applying by hand are using a standard paint roller that you can buy at Lowe's or Home Depot. We just recommend using a short nap roller, anywhere from a 3/16 inch nap to a 1/4 inch, or a high-density white foam roller. And again, these don't have to be very fancy. You can buy them at Lowe's and Home Depot pretty cheap. We don't recommend a black foam roller because those tend to bleed. And again, determining the right type of roller is its personal preference. We typically use a foam roller. That doesn't say that the short nap rollers are not appropriate. It's just something that we do here. A lot of our customers use short nap rollers when coating canvas. So there are pros and cons of both. You might argue that a high-density foam roller, because it is so porous, if you don't allow the roller to do the work and you push on that roller, it can introduce air bubbles into the coating, which make coating a little more difficult. And then some people might say the nap roller, sometimes those fibers come off on your finished product. So it's really something that we suggest testing and seeing what you're most comfortable with. Another application is by spray, and we typically say with an HVLP gun, it doesn't have to be a fancy product. It can be a Husky brand product, a $20 gun from Harbor Freight. We don't recommend Wagner products. We recommend a gravity-fed, high-volume, low-pressure gun. The Wagner products tend to spit a little bit more, and they don't atomize the coating as well. But when you're using a spray application, we recommend anywhere from 45 to 55 pounds of pressure at the gun, and we're using between a 1.4 and a 1.6 millimeter tip on the gun, which is pretty standard when it comes to these spray guns. The last method is our StarLam 1600 roll-to-roll coater. This is a 63-inch machine. It is designed for larger jobs that where you're going to be coating rolls of material. This is especially in the wall covering market, because we're not printing a small amount of wall covering. Typically, you're doing 3 or 4 walls in an application. This allows for a consistent, even coating. The coating is applied using a metering rod that's on the machine, and what this does is this allows for a consistent film thickness across the media. So you're going to get the best coverage at the lowest cost for with the best performance. The other there we go. The other two products that I mentioned earlier are ClearJet and MaraShield. The ClearJet is our solvent-based product. Again, not extremely popular. However, the aerosol cans are something that many people use, especially if they want to just try it. And then our MaraShield product is generally used for rigid substrates. We do have people using it in the wall covering market as well as the vinyl banner market. It's a little higher cost of entry from an equipment standpoint. But it's very, very, very fast, much faster than the water-based StarLam that I showed you earlier. I appreciate the time. If anybody has any questions, we'll answer it at the end of the presentation. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Chuck. Now, actually, I just wanted to verify, we were having a few audio issues. Roger, you're here, right?
I am here.
Okay, wonderful. Well, so our final presenter, I'm glad to hear your voice. Our final presenter is Roger Lepley. He is CEO and owner of Consort Display Group. His dedication over the last 3 decades to Consort as a leading banner and hardware company made him a go-to for installation tips when calculating wind load and incorporating wind slits in outdoor banners and signage. So, Roger, I'm going to send it your way.
Thanks, Valerie. Okay, I assume that most folks in the outdoor graphics world have found that wind force is a big deal. And the bigger the graphics, the bigger the deal. I've been at this since 1984 and learned very quickly that no matter how long or how short your outdoor installation is scheduled to be up, the strength of the installation needs to be as though the next major windstorm is going to happen the very next day. And, of course, I've had that happen. For right now, we'll talk a little bit about the mathematics of wind load. And let's see, get a slide here that shows what we're talking about, generally speaking. We're going to talk about some of the related vocabulary and some of the other outdoor graphic installation information. First of all, for our industry, wind load calculations are generally an inexact science. Versus, say, when designing airplanes or skyscrapers. And here's what I mean by inexact science for us. Our applications, as far as wind load goes, are all over the place. We mount banners and signs on all sorts of structures, and most of these are at varying heights above the ground, and they may or may not have wind dampening obstructions like buildings around them or trees in front of them or near them like we see here. They may be mounted on streetscapes where 2 tall buildings may accelerate wind speeds, creating a sort of wind tunnel effect, and may even produce sort of whirling vortexes like mini tornadoes. Or maybe they're in the plains or wide open spaces like airports and highways. Perhaps the graphics are on ground level, or maybe they're 20 feet above the ground where velocities are usually higher. All these examples, among others, such as wind direction constantly changing and gusting, affect actual wind load on a structure. So that's the inexact science part. So let's talk about wind load and EPA ratings. I probably want to know what an EPA rating is. Well, first of all, we've done quite a bit of wind testing, and I learned about EPA ratings. It's a little bit difficult to understand, but let's give it a try. To make a sign and graphic wind load calculations meaningful, we need to understand EPA. For our industry, I'll use this vertical street banner as a concept as the example. Now, many outdoor structures such as urban street poles are given an EPA rating by the manufacturer of the pole, which means that a utility pole would be strong enough in regards to wind load to have accessories such as signs or banners attached to them. And here's an example of that. You've all seen this sort of, it could be called urban clutter, but we'll just call it a bunch of signs on a banner bracket. Now, as long as the total square foot area does not exceed the effective projected area, or the EPA, you're okay. For example, if the light pole is rated at 20 square feet of EPA by the manufacturer, and it already has 4 square feet of attachments, such as you see here, a banner cannot exceed 16 square feet. But if the banner is mounted using flexible bracket arms like our BannerFlex Aero here, and this is obviously showing the brand name, but or if it has a spring-loaded bracket, then the effective projected area of the banner will decrease as the wind increases because the shape of the banner gets smaller as the wind gets stronger, as there's less area for the wind to pound against. Now that's pretty cool. So if a light pole has an EPA rating of say 20 and there's 4 square feet of those signs on them, then the allowable EPA left is 16. Then with a very flexible bracket that would spill up to, let's say, 50% of the wind at say 70 miles an hour, which is a rating that is used these days, then the banner is only holding 50% of the wind force. So I hope I haven't lost you yet, but if a 20 square foot banner becomes a 10 square foot banner in regards to EPA at 70 miles an hour, that helps in this whole rating. So 4 square feet of rigid sign plus 10 square feet of flexed banner equals 14 square feet of EPA, which is well below the EPA rating of 20 for that pole. Now, again, I know this is kind of hard to understand in the last 4 minutes, but so this EPA rating discussion is bound to bring up questions, and I'd recommend, for one, just to go to our BannerFlex website at Consort.com, and you'll find a wind force calculator under the resources program, and that'll help explain a little bit more what I'm talking about. Now, here's an interesting thing about when dealing with street banners, and that has to do with wind slits. That's always a question that seems, well, there's the wind force calculator. I meant to show that slide. That's on our site, and you can read through that and give it a try. Okay, wind slits. Here's an interesting thing. In 2 separate wind tunnel tests, we tested banners up to 100 miles an hour with and without wind slits. The wind slits had an interesting effect. Instead of spilling wind, they actually captured more wind and put more wind force on the pole. That initially surprised us, of course, but the reasons for this are threefold. First, rarely does anybody cut enough wind slits to make a difference, nor are they ever very big. Secondly, in our test, the slits created significant wrinkles, as you see here, in the fabric. And these wrinkles then captured the wind instead of spilling it. And third, the wind holes act a little bit like holes in an organ pipe, and they tend to set up vibrations on the banner that become more severe as the wind speed increases. thereby putting unwanted stress on the banner fabric, the light pole, and the luminaire. Therefore, your best vertical street banner installation is a quality wind spelling bracket with no wind slits. Now, another popular outdoor graphic, of course, includes those long horizontal advertising banners that are seemingly everywhere at venues like NASCAR and other special events. Let's briefly look at mesh fabrics, which are often the choice for these events. Now, I know this category has seen many improvements in recent years in strength, durability, and printability, and these fabrics are being used at ground level as sponsor fencing as well as in the air as street banners. Now, I've personally been asked many questions about using this, the newest of these mesh materials, especially those that can now be printed on both sides, and here's kind of an example of that. So I don't have much experience with these in particular, but here's what my friend Paul Britton of Britton Studios told me. He said that his tests have shown that the mesh is effective as a wind pressure reliever, but only at low wind speeds. Once the wind kicks up, say, to 15 miles per hour or more, his consultants believe that the tiny mesh holes cause turbulence that actually block most air penetration. In higher winds, their tests show that the 30% open mesh, which is a common material, behaves exactly like solid vinyl. So that's just a little bit of information for you to weigh when using mesh materials, and I was glad to know that myself. Now here's a bit of information about installing outdoor graphics. We've talked about light pole banners, and I want to stress that you please purchase the best hardware for the size of banner in question and fasten it according to the pole according to the manufacturer's instructions using recommended banding material that is recommended by their warranty. I know this sounds crazy, but a lot of installers do not actually read instructions. So if you are attaching banners like this to a wall, we recommend that a wall mount plate, you'll see this black square that is attached to the back of that casting, we recommend the plate be used between the hardware, the main banner hardware, and the wall. This is because the constant vibration of the banner and the relatively small footprint of the standard hardware will eventually wear into brick, concrete, or wood and weaken the system. A larger mounting plate between the wall and the bracket will prevent any loosening of this installation due to wear. That's just a good thing to know. Now, if you want to put a larger vertical banner on a light pole, and you know the EPA rating won't handle one that's attached top and bottom with regular banner arms, we suggest you consider using what we call a tie-down mount at the bottom hem along with your top banner arm. This type of installation automatically reduces wind force by slightly more than half. Here's a couple of wonderful installations in Sydney, Australia, like that. The free-flying flag effect is a colorful attention getter, with the only downside being that the flag banners don't last as long as top and bottom mounted banners. Also in this regard, let's see, find this thing here. There's a unique product called FlagTrax, which has a free bottom hem, but once the hardware is installed, the banner can be changed from the ground, and a bucket truck is only needed for the initial hardware installation. Again, this kind of banner relieves more than half of the wind force. Lastly, if you want to calculate wind force on your own, and why wouldn't you want to do that? Here's a very good and easy to understand tutorial. It's on wikihow.com, and you just put the words wind load into the WikiHow search, and you'll find it. All you need to do then is have the square foot area of the graphic and the design velocity of the wind. A lot of times cities will tell you what that is. The drag coefficient, which you'll find there, is a bit tricky, but I'd suggest you just go to our Bannersplex site and you would refer to the WindForce calculator, and you'll see drag coefficient noted there, and you can use a value such as 1.5 or, for example, like that. And well, that kind of completes what I have for you today about wind. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Roger. Okay, at this time, we're going to be asking our presenters some questions. Again, if you have any that you would like us to ask, please submit them through the questions panel. Let's see. Okay, the first one I have here is, okay, this is for Chuck, actually. What have you found as far as drying time for the ClearShield type product? What should people expect?
If you're applying by hand, I would expect anywhere from, to the touch, anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the environment that you're in. If it's real humid, it's going to take a little longer to dry. Using our machine, it's dry when it comes off the machine. So
okay.
I think also with spraying, you might see some quicker dry times versus rolling, just because you're laying down less coating. But anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes, and then fully cured after about 24 hours.
24 hours, okay. And then, do the coatings change the hand of the material much?
No, they don't. I guess it depends on the material that we're discussing. But if we're talking about a fabric or a vinyl banner, no, not at all.
Okay, and then looks like I have one more for you. The expected lifespan of the coatings. You had mentioned with the different coating applications that might last, longer. Is there
Right.
a noticeable diminished performance over time with different coating applications?
No, in the hard thing with coating is unless you're using a machine, you're always going to have peaks and valleys. So you're always going to have areas that have a little more coating and areas that have a little less coating. So we typically say it doubles the life of the ink. So anywhere from 3 to 6 years you can expect the product to hold up no problem. I've got customers who put it on 10 years ago and it looks fine. It also depends greatly on the climate that it's in, the exposure to the sun, all that kind of stuff plays into it. But we do some just testing out back on a container, and we've had some vinyl up since July of 2012, and we have coated and uncoated, and the uncoated in certain circumstance, like the yellow, we just have a yellow square, and that's virtually gone. The coated product looks great, so it's anywhere between that 3 and 6 years, you're going to be okay.
Okay, and you know what? There was actually just one more that came through for you.
Sure.
Are any of these coatings used on tarpaulin prior to printing to help with ink adhesion?
No, it's not an adhesion promoter for ink. We do have primers and promoters that can help with that, but these coatings do not do that.
Excellent. Let's see, Roger, one for you now. Do most customers, when they come to you, do they know the EPA rating of their poles? And if not, is there some direction that you can give them as far as how to figure that out?
Very good question. Yes, yes or no. No, most people don't know their EPA rating, and of course, I've never heard of it. And what you really, the person who has that, or the facility that has that, is the manufacturer of the light pole. A lot of times the city engineers will have specifications on the light poles and that sort of thing, and it will be on there. But no, you'd have to go to the manufacturer of the pole to get that.
Excellent. And then does the EPA come into play at all with the building mounted banners?
No, it doesn't. If the banner is very large, we would want to talk about that. But no, it absolutely not on the building part of it.
Okay. Hopefully the building's not moving, I guess. So
right. Hopefully not. Yes.
Excellent. And then let's see, it looks like the last question I have, Chuck, they were asking if there is a distributor in Montreal, Canada. Would that be a good thing for them to reach out to you after the presentation?
Sure.
Or?
Yeah, feel free to email me. I can put them in touch with our Canadian sales manager up there.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, well, let me just check. It looks like that's everything. So, well, thank you so much for attending the Fabric Graphics Outdoor webinar. There will be a follow-up email with a copy of the presentation slides and a brief survey for you to share your thoughts on this webinar and ideas for future webinars. Be on the lookout for our upcoming FGA presentations, and have a good afternoon. Thank you again to your presenters. Thanks.